Good afternoon, everybody. I think we're about to get started. First of all, I want to introduce myself. I'm Tom Tyler, and I'm very pleased and honored to be chairman of the Worship and Music Committee of Calvary Presbyterian Church. Before we get to the music side of that committee responsibility, I just want to mention and introduce our pastor, Janine Frenzel, who leads us in worship. Janine, right here, thank you so much. She leads us in worship every Sunday morning at 10:30. Of course, today is Palm Sunday. We'll be having a Maundy Thursday service with communion and a preceding supper of soup and bread down in Durr Hall. That's going to be at 6 p.m. this Thursday, followed by the service in our chapel, which is back to our rear and off to the side. That'll be at 7 p.m. on Thursday. And, of course, Easter Sunday is a week from today, next Sunday at 10:30. So if you are inclined, we'd love to have you join us. A couple of housekeeping issues. Please make sure your cell phones are silenced. We thank you for that. As to restrooms, there is a ladies' room right off the door to the mid here on your rear right. Turn right, and it's right at the end of the hall. The men's room is a little bit further at the end of the hall to the left. Also, there's a men's room on the left side of what would be your left side on the stairwell down the stairs, and turn right at the stairs. There's a men's room down there. And this bathroom up here is also wheelchair accessible if that's necessary. This is a free concert, although we always encourage donations if you are inclined. There are offering plates in the center aisle, in the break there in the pews, and also at the center of the pews you'll see sign-up sheets. This is our penultimate concert for this season, but for any information on future concerts and, of course, next season, please add your name to the email list that's on either side of the aisle break there among the pews. Our next concert is roughly a month from now, Saturday, May 17, right here in the sanctuary. We will be delighted to have Hugh Sung and his wife, Mada Delina. They are a piano virtuoso team, and they are excellent performers of four-hand piano. So that's a real treat to see. They've actually won international competitions in the last 2 years in 3 separate international competitions. Now then, that's on May 17. That will be the final concert for this season, but look for details for next year if you sign up with our email. Also, following the concert in the rear of the sanctuary, we'll have a reception where you can meet today's performer, Rudy Lucenti. And with that, one thing I'd like to say, if you've got children here, I think, Velma, you just came here. I'd like to have the kids come up and sit up front because it's quite a treat to watch an organist perform. You don't usually see when you're in a church the organist. Usually the organist is tucked away somewhere. And today, we're going to be featuring the organist, Rudy, and so I think it's going to be wonderful for kids to see. So I'll come back and get you. Now to introduce our artist today, I am very pleased to introduce our music director, who I always say is our brains behind this operation. Please welcome Colin O'Malley.
As a scene in a play here through the curtain or something. Yeah, I didn't know if I should do that or walk through the palm forest, one of the two choices I had. So, hello. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Colin O'Malley. I'm the director of music and organist here at Calvary Pres. This is my 4th year serving this wonderful, wonderful congregation that is so committed to this beautiful space, to the worship here, and especially to its music ministry. Today is the celebration of a long undertaking and conversation and project that has literally been 4 years in the making. And I have a lot of people that I want to recognize who helped me make this restoration project of this very incredibly unique, wonderful, and irreplaceable instrument that is so emblematic of its time in organ history, a very wonderful time when a lot of really wonderful, lush, romantic instruments were being built. So I want to recognize some of these people who made this a possibility. Firstly, my wonderful friend Judy Dwyer, who was interim pastor at the time. She was a very supportive voice early on. Judy, it's so great to see you today. Peter Heineman, Bob Spear, I think, is here somewhere. There's Bob. Gentlemen, thank you so much for all of your support and all of the journeys inside the very small pipe chambers with me to look at stuff. I really appreciate that. And I also, if I'm forgetting anybody, I don't think I am, but to the church as a whole, thank you so much for supporting this project. This instrument is a backbone of our music ministry here and of our rich legacy of hymnody and service music in the Presbyterian Church. And there are not many churches anymore that do recognize and invest in this kind of music. So the fact that Calvary still recognizes the importance of the organ in worship is incredibly meaningful to me. So I thank you again. I also have to thank my wonderful friend Rudy for agreeing to play today. Rudy and I, well, I've known Rudy since I was 16. He was my first teacher on the organ, a wonderful friend and mentor. We talk just about every day about all kinds of stuff. And so I'm so grateful for his friendship and his willingness to play for us. And I, of course, have to recognize, and if I can, I would like to invite up for a little bit the true brains behind this operation, Mr. Christopher Kehoe, a true master of his craft as an organ builder and organ technician. He has done a tremendous job in bringing this organ from complete original unaltered state into a completely new era for the instrument, while at the same time preserving its integrity as a very unique instrument. So Chris, if you wouldn't mind, I'd love for you to just say a little bit about the project. And
It's a lot easier to get up into the chancel at my church, which is just down the hill. I also want to say thank you to all of you and to Colin. I started my own organ business about, this fall it'll be 5 years. And when I was hired as organist at All Hallows down the hill, we also had to undertake a significant organ project because there were a lot of issues. And I was 10 years younger than I am now. And as a young person that had just come out of college, I ran into many situations in my professional life where there are many people that are, in churches that we all have a certain way of things going. And so when you're presented with having to spend a significant amount of money as a corporate group, there can be a lot of questions and, why do we need to do this and who do we get to do it? Our situation was fraught with issues. And I ended up working for the organ company that was responsible for that. And then several years later, in 2021, started my own. So in saying thank you for allowing me to do this project for you, thank you for trusting Colin, and thank you for trusting me to do that and to be a sort of a stepping stone of the history and the legacy of this instrument. I had an older colleague who said, some of the most important things that you'll learn are what not to do. And that's very true. And even throughout this process with this organ, there were things that, that I was able to learn from that. And I find that particularly valuable in my work because preserving pipe organs is sometimes very difficult to do. So with all that said, thank you.
I would be completely remiss. I have 2 more people I need to recognize, and then I will stop bothering you, and I will let Rudy play. Tom Tyler, thank you so much for sharing worship and music, for following along with all of your support in this organ project, and also as well in managing the concert series that I feel like is in some ways a result of the organ project, and rethinking ways of ministry and how do we share what we do and who we are with the community at large. So Tom, thank you so much for everything you do. And of course, Janine, thank you so much for all of your help, all of your support. She is our fearless leader, and it is not an easy job to be a pastor of any congregation. So, and I especially appreciate your support of the music ministry. As a musician, that is of exceptional meaning to me. So thank you very much. All right, without further ado, please sit back, relax, and I would like to welcome Mr. Lucensi to the organ. Thank you.
Thank you. It's great to be here with all of you. And Colin said to me, we'd really like to have you play for the rededication. I said, that's great. When would you like that? He said, Palm Sunday. We're in a church, so I cannot repeat my response. But yeah, this is the, let's see, the fifth time I've been in a church this weekend. So, but in any case, I'm really pleased to be here. This is a lovely instrument. It really is. And yes, I know I've spent 47 years playing the Wanamaker organ, which is, of course, the largest fully playing musical instrument in the world. And you know, you get spoiled in a situation like that. But you also then forget the fact that a lot of the beauty in this world is in subtlety, not necessarily in sheer power. And this instrument is really a very good example of that. I mean, what I just played, that was kind of the instrument saying hi, as it were. And also it gives you an opportunity then, I don't know if, you know, I want to also thank not only those of you who came to hear the program, but those of you who were dragged kicking and screaming by the people who did come to hear the program. That's always the case at organ concerts. Anyway, a lot of the music that you will hear today, and I found myself picking things, I'm like, oh, well, I play this at the store, which if I use that term, what I mean by that is Wanamaker's, which is what it will always be to me after 47 years there. And I thought, yeah, and yet it really works so well here. Now, the next piece, the Gaelic Air, that was my teacher, who was the Wanamaker organist, Keith Chapman, and this is a hymn tune. Basically, you'll notice it right away. You'll know what it is. And it worked so well here. And at first I thought, well, yeah, I need this, I need that. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I can do that. So what you were hearing from Colin and from Chris about the amazing ability of an instrument like this, because of the way it was built, the way it was designed, and the particular way in which not only it was voiced, but also what Chris did then to bring it, to retain, as Colin said, to retain its historical integrity, and yet bring it into the modern world, especially with the console controls. So this is Keith Chapman's Gaelic Air. Thank you. Thank you. Some years ago, I was at a concert up in Hackensack, New Jersey. I don't even remember how long ago it was, quite a long time ago. And the organist, who I didn't know well, but I kind of knew who he was, and I knew him more as a theater organist. And he played this suite by John Ireland. And I really was kind of captivated by the suite itself. But this little minuet in the middle of it really kind of is lovely, and it will show a bit of a contrast between the two divisions of the organ. Or it's really not so much two divisions so much as it is the way it's divided, actually, in the space here. So, and I found it kind of a fun piece to play here, actually. It just, I have to tell you, the more I sat here last week, it was, you know how good an instrument is by how quickly you want to go home, as it were. And I just sat here and I was playing, and then I started playing stuff that's not even on the program, and then I just started playing stuff, and I suddenly realized I was just enjoying sitting here playing the instrument. So this is one of the pieces I was sort of, for lack of a better way to put it, fooling with, and I decided, I'll put it on the program. The next piece by Daniel Gothrop is one that I premiered in Philadelphia at the Kimmel Center, and Dan came up from, he and his wife were living in Tennessee at the time, and they came up for it. It was an unusual experience, but we became fast friends. And I've played the Arioso a number of times, and I just played it in the last day that, for those of you who recall that last day that Macy's had the big organ celebration that we had. And Dan came from West Virginia, which is where he and his wife live now. And I was really happy because over the years, I've occasionally changed a note here and there. And so Dan now, when he sends me a piece of music, he writes inside, could you at least use this as a starting point? And so I knew he was there. He was there in the Grand Court. And I was, so I had this piece on the program because it's one of the pieces I really like doing there. And amazingly, it was letter perfect. I couldn't believe it. I might add, neither could he. But nonetheless, in order to make sure it's constantly letter perfect, I'm going to actually use the score for that. So the other reason is, and for those of you who've been to programs I've done before, is a very good friend of mine and of several of the other people in this room was doing a very difficult concert in Texas for a whole bunch of very academic organists. And he played a 2-hour program of really difficult music entirely from memory. And so afterward at the reception, a young boy came up to him and said, I really enjoyed your program. I think the young boy was 10 or 11. And he said, oh, that's nice. I'm glad you enjoyed it. He says, well, my mommy is an organist too. And he says, oh, that's wonderful. He said, yes, but she knows how to read music. So as a result of that, I never, ever do a program anymore that I don't have at least one piece of music on the rack. So, because you set yourself up to, from that standpoint. Anyway, so this is Dan Gothrop's Arioso. Now, what you'll hear here is I was particularly taken, and Chris, you can answer this, I'm really captivated by the particular way that flutes develop once you're holding them a little bit. Is that particular, organ was voiced, or technically it's what they call a Richard Whiteleg instrument. Is that a particular thing of Whiteleg, or it's different. It's different than anything I've ever experienced. Hard to say. Okay. Well, enjoy it anyhow, because I'm enjoying it. So. Dan writes, use it as a starting point. Thank you. I used to be able to do this with one pair of glasses. No. Oh, there you are. Anyway, one of the points I usually try to make, either in a dedication or in this case a rededication after a fashion, is that the instrument's purpose. Why is it here? As Colin said, it's the backbone of the music program. Well, it's a tool. That's exactly what it is. That's what it's meant to be. It is here to support the worship and prayer life of the congregation of this church, as well as the community at large. That's its primary purpose. So what then is fundamental to the design of any instrument like that is the ability to accompany hymns. So I thought we would do one as such, and I've got to go get the hymnal. And I'm particularly partial to any number of hymns, but one that I thought would work, it kind of works today in terms of the fact that it's Palm Sunday. It kind of works in Thanksgiving for this wonderful instrument, and it kind of gives you an opportunity to really kind of sing along with the instrument in something that kind of moves along. So it is hymn number 804. The title, of course, is Rejoice Ye Pure in Heart, which is one of my favorites as such. And let's do 1, 2, and 5. So we'll do verses 1, 2, and 5 of hymn number 804. And if you choose to stand, that's great. I leave that up to you. Great. That's wonderful. And I can tell you that's probably the biggest kick of the whole afternoon for me, is just being able to play for people singing like that. It's just kind of how it is. This is my, well, I'm still subbing. I'm not running a church music program, but I figured after 63 years of doing that since I was 16, and my upcoming 80th birthday present is not to not to slug out, what Colin does. You got to put up with a pain in the neck minister. You got to put up with that. You know what I mean? So you got to and I'm getting to the point close to where I'll be able to tell all of my clergy musician jokes, except one of my very good clergy friends is here who knows all the other jokes the other way. So I got to be really careful. So these days, but nonetheless. In terms of this instrument's use as well, one of the things that I thought we would do is that Colin and I would do a piece together. So you would hear the instrument used with the piano. You have a wonderful piano, and Colin kind of sort of plays it. And, from that standpoint. So we'll do, we thought we would do Jesu Joy of Man's Desiring as well. So together. But it's really great to be able to, as a matter of fact, I don't think have you and I ever done anything together? No. Oh, wow, what an incredible privilege that is for you. So, so Many years ago, I got a phone call on a Saturday night from someone associated with the little church next door here, like that. So anyway, from Chris's church. And it's long before Chris's. This is many years ago. I don't even remember how many. And the music director or the organist, for some reason or other, was not going to be able to be there on Sunday. And Michael Stairs, the late Philadelphia Orchestra organist, had been subbing there, but he wasn't able to do it either. So I'd never been there before, never played the instrument before. I knew there was no choir, no soloist, so it was, hymns, a little bit of service music, and I could manage. So in any case, so I come down, and I suddenly realize I get there, and I don't have my playing glasses. I don't have my bag of my sort of go bag of emergency music, but I can survive in the average service, as it were. So I did, and I'm thinking I need to do a piece at the end. It's such a by the way, that is a lovely organ, and I very much enjoyed playing it and getting to know it a little bit. And so I figured I would play the Johnson trumpet tune on it because it's kind of a nice piece for a postlude. So I play this piece as a postlude. Afterward, these two ladies came up to me, and the one lady introduces herself to me as a member of the church. And the other lady was she was explaining that she had just come to the area and was worshiping there that morning. And so the other lady says to me, I really kind of was fascinated by what you did with the David Johnson trumpet tune. And I was like, okay. I said, are you an organist? Thinking that she's probably some major professor of organ somewhere, and I was sort of doing my own version. I didn't even have music with me. I said, how do you know the piece? I said, are you an organist? She says, no, but David Johnson was my father. What were the chances? What were the chances of that? As I said to Colin earlier, I said, that's when you go buy a lottery ticket, let me tell you. So with the chances of that happening. So I'm assuming no one here is related to David Johnson? Great, because I'm going to play the piece the way I do it, sort of thing, as it were. So anyway, it's lovely and works really well on this instrument. It's just, again, I'm just having a great time. I hope you are, because I'm just enjoying playing this instrument. I've had the privilege of playing at Longwood Gardens for about 35 years. And some years ago, when they redid all the fountains, several of us who play there drug out our Percy Fletcher Fountain Reverie, as it were. And it's become kind of a staple because it's just such a it's just such a pretty piece, you know, and not to mention the fact that I like English composers, and Percy Fletcher, of course, is a prime example of one of those. So this is sort of what happens when you just sort of sit here. And again, this is another piece I wasn't necessarily going to put on this program. And I'm sitting here thinking, I wonder if I could do the Fletcher here. And I start doing it and start doing it. I'm like, oh, I really like how this works. Let's just kind of add that. So this is Fountain Reverie by Percy Fletcher. Thank you. One should never close a program with something soft. As a rule, most organists don't. Because if we did, we would then dispel the absolute true rumor that organists in general play loud or too loud, as a rule. And we make no excuses for it. And my usual response to that is, get over it. But the Stately March is an interesting piece as well. I was up, my wife and I had gone up to visit Professor Tom Murray up at Yale. And Tom is now retired, but he certainly one of the greats of the organ world and considered the finest transcription player that ever lived. And so we were up there, and Tom took us to this church where he was playing, and there at New Haven, Connecticut. He's at Yale, and or he's retired from Yale, I should say. So he sits down and he starts to play this piece, and I'm like, what is that? He said, it's this piece called Stately March. I said, who wrote it? He said, this guy named J. Lamont Galbraith. I said, who was he? He said, I haven't a clue. So I figured, well, if Tom didn't know, certainly, you know. But it turns out, actually, the piece, I think it's published now. I'm not sure, but I think it can be had, as it were. But he sent me, he said, I can't even find a published version of it. He said, but I had a handwritten version of it that somebody gave me a few years ago. He said, I can make you a copy of that. And I said, well, if that's all we got. And since then, I think I have found that it can be had now. But in any case, it's a lovely piece to end with. It shows off a few different colors of the instrument. It's not just loud, but it's got a lovely little middle section to it as well. So this is Stately March. And I wonder if maybe, since this is truly a rededication, could I basically impose upon the pastor to do a little bit of a closing prayer afterward? You know, they work one day a week. You know, one day a week. You know, at least it's that day. You know what I mean? So, I mean, what can I tell you? I'm going to be in so much trouble with some people. So, but nonetheless. So this is Stately March, and again, I want to thank Colin and I want to thank Chris for the wonderful work, and Tom and everybody that I've met here. Everybody's been so great to be here, and I'm hoping to just attend some of the concerts that you have here as well. So anyway, so this is J. Lamont Galbraith's Stately March.
I'm very glad that you're here, and I hope now that you'll bow your heads with me for just a moment in thanks for all that has gone on here, and now will continue to go on. Eternal God, before whom all organs sound, our hearts and our hands join with the songs of saints and choirs who sing the music of the universe. We praise you with trumpet sound, strings, and pipes, and we rededicate this organ for the worship of your sanctuary here. So, with the voice of music, we may proclaim your voice and rededicate ourselves to your service. Amen. My first question, do you remember when I played the Wanamaker organ as a little girl?
I do not.
And with good reason. It was Camptown Reese's.
Does anyone else have questions for me or Chris or Colin, for that matter?
Well, just for the sake of those of us who are uninformed on how an organ works, in 60 seconds, can you describe what happens when you press a key and where the sound comes out?
I haven't a clue. No, actually, there is a wire that comes from the console, and this is the Opus 2 system. One of the things that has been done with this instrument, you might have noticed, I was occasionally pushing a button over there. I can't stop in the middle of a phrase and change a number of the sounds that are on these knobs. So I can set them, as you see, so the way I want them, and then I write them down on a little piece of paper that tells me per piece which button to push. But the thing is, only 5 of the buttons will control the whole organ. Well, how was I doing 15 or 20 buttons? Well, because there's more than one memory level, because there are a number of computer levels. So for this concert, I used 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. So the nice thing about that is that you can play a broader range. I mean, I got a broader range of sound with only 5 pistons, and that's fine. I mean, it works by having that capability and that flexibility. It allows me to do that. So essentially, the instrument. Oh, I hit one of the buttons. So that one. And so when I press a key, obviously a signal is being sent to the chamber that is then opening a valve under a pipe, which is causing the pipe to speak, or any number of pipes to speak, depending upon how many stops are out. And the other thing is that they can be combined or coupled or separated, as you heard. So I tried to show a little bit of that during the program, so you would get a sense of the organ kind of as more than just sort of a homogeneous sound accompanying a hymn, but you heard that as well. So any other? Because I don't know if that answers your question or not. Sure, okay. So either that or Chris has a whole bunch of little people back in there who are you know, one or the other. So anyway, well, again, thank you. I believe there is a bit of a reception. Colin had texted me earlier and said, "What time are you arriving at the church?" I said, "About 5:15 for the reception." So, and then of course this is a Presbyterian church, so there has to be a reception. I mean, it's fundamental to the whole situation. So, in any case, if you have any other questions, I'll be here like that. And thank you again for coming.